Recorded live from Portland, Oregon, it's the Transamorous Network podcast. Let's get it on.
All right. So, hey, everybody. This is Perry Gruber from Transamorous Network podcast.
This is Remy Matar.
And this is Shannon Scott. Hello, hello.
That's going to be our trademark opening. So, we just finished watching a YouTube video, kind of a teaser trailer for this video producer, actually very high quality producer. Her name is Sunny, I think. And she's asking her audience whether or not she should use actual video footage she has of a transgender person being assaulted.
Sexually assaulted
Sexually
in
assaulted.
Thailand.
Yes, and that's a very important distinction because initially when we were speaking about this,
Right.
Perry had said assaulted.
Right.
And then it came, as we watched the video, I found out that it was sexually assaulted, which takes this conversation to a whole new place
Right.
in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we decided that we were going to commit this episode to this topic, and then post this episode not only on our channel but in response to Sunny's video here, and we'll also include a link on our channel to the video in case our viewers and listeners did not have a chance to see the video that we're talking about. Just so that the listeners and the viewers know, I have not talked with Remy or Shannon about their opinions. We did not talk in advance about whether we were going to agree or disagree. This is totally off the cuff.
Which it always is.
Which it always is. But I just wanted to let them know.
You should know that we don't plan any of the shit that happens
No,
here.
we don't.
It's
plan our
just
shit.
crazy. It just happens.
Right.
Which is what makes it so fun.
It is, isn't it?
It's an interesting story, you know, and the question of should she post this clip that she caught on video on her phone while in Thailand of a sister trans woman being sexually assaulted in public, and she caught it on film. And the question is out: should she post it as is? Should she edit it, that thereby making the person who was assaulted, you know, blurring their face out or whatever, so they're unidentifiable?
Or maybe even making it less intense of a video to watch.
Possibly showing
Yeah.
just a clip
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
So like that's kind of the question, and where the discussion begins. Ready, set, go.
What's your gut say?
Personally, my gut is release it edited. That's just how I feel. Like she says in the video, it's something we're just not talking about or talking enough
I
about.
agree.
And
Awareness is so key.
Yeah, and her statistic is that 64% of trans women in America have been sexually assaulted. 64%, that's more than half of the trans women. And that's the ones that have come forward and said something.
Yeah.
So just to let the listeners know and the viewers know also that Sunny is going to have a conversation about this topic
Yes.
on her channel.
Yes.
So even if she doesn't show the video, the conversation is still going to take place.
Right, absolutely. And again, so the conversation is happening here as well.
Yeah.
And hopefully our words will help her make her decisions.
Well, here's what my gut says.
Okay.
Initially, when I thought it was a physical assault, like I was thinking somebody was getting attacked or punched or something along those lines, I said, yeah, you have to show that. Yes, it's violent, and yes, people don't want to quote unquote see that kind of thing, but it's so important. Like most people don't even realize this is happening,
Right.
and so just getting it out there will raise awareness, and then action comes from that. But now that I know it's a case of sexual assault, I would like to know more details about what actually happened, because a sexual assault can be something as simple as a slap on the ass,
So grabbing
or
a boob.
yeah. So I mean, and if that's the case, then why not? There's really nothing to censor there, in my opinion. But if it's something really egregious, like a violent sexual assault, where lines more than just like a split second were crossed, where this person endured this for more than just a split second, my thought would be you need to think about what good comes from showing it. So What are the benefits of showing someone who is, pinned against a wall and someone's kissing them aggressively when they obviously don't want to be touched, or something like that?
Or if a gang of guys is groping some person.
Yeah, and then, if it escalates from there, I mean, my mind, and I'm sure your mind as well, is going into all sorts of terrible places where you're like, oh God, what did they do?
And
what did they do?
It seems like if the video was just of someone getting their boob pinched or something, or their ass slapped, that she wouldn't be making a video about it. It's probably
she wouldn't be asking the viewers if they think it's
serious.
something. I think it's definitely got to be something more serious and definitely longer than just a moment, because she talks about it being like a clip that could be cut into different pieces.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I think if there's anything that would constitute rape, I think we need to think about talking about it and describing what happened, but I don't know if there's a lot of benefit from actually showing that act.
So my actually, could you turn us on there just in case someone comes by? Thanks. Sorry about that. Sorry about that, listeners. We didn't get that part of the checklist.
Whatever.
Yeah, whatever. It's interesting. You two have good arguments, and I'm sure that most of the people who respond are going to say much of what you're saying. There aren't a lot of comments on there right now. At the time that we watched the video, just so you guys know out there were 8 comments on that video. So there may be more by the time this show actually goes up on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she should show the video.
At all.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of as what's on the video. And you guys know I pretty much live and breathe what we talk about on the show.
Mm-hmm.
And so my perspective is coming from that point of view. There are so many conversations like this going on, I think. I mean, she says that we don't talk enough about this. I think we talk too much about it.
Really? Too much? Why too much?
Because it's interesting. I was thinking about this on the way to the studio. There's a collective reality that we all share. We're all in this room, the 3 of us.
Mm-hmm.
The listeners and the viewers are participating in this conversation too.
Right.
As many human beings are involved in this conversation, there are that many different perceptions and interpretations of this experience.
Right.
So there is no objective reality. It's all subjective. This reality we are all co-creating through our participation and our individual perspectives. And if what we, the 3 of us, are saying is accurate here at the Transamorous Network podcast, and I believe it is based on my experience, then with all these people focusing on this issue, this is the first argument against it. With all these people focusing upon this issue, imagine the momentum that we're creating for future issues like this to occur. Now, when I say that, I immediately think of Christiella's comment, well, are we supposed to just think rainbows and butterflies and just ignore these things? And the answer is yes, because the other argument against it is how does the individual person watching that video or participating in these kind of conversations feel about what they're focusing on in those moments? Does talking about this kind of stuff, I'm talking about the individual subjective level, does talking about this stuff make a person feel safer? Does talking about this kind of event cause someone when they're walking down the street to feel that they can walk down the street in safety? Does this kind of conversation contribute to someone's joy and happiness in their life? And if the answer to those questions is no, and if you acknowledge that our collective experience is a subjective experience, co-created into what we think is an objective experience, but it's actually a collective subjective experience, then what benefit are we creating for ourselves as individuals and collectively as a community by continuing to focus on this stuff that, in my opinion, disempowers us, makes us feel afraid, makes us look over our shoulder, puts us in these, from the standpoint of creating our reality, these disempowering, creating what you don't want vibrations.
Well, the first thing that makes me think is, if that's the case, then why are we doing this podcast?
because the people who are responding to the video don't have the information that we have.
Right.
And that by sharing it with them, so when I talk about this stuff, I'm sitting over here in joy.
Right.
I'm not invested in what we're talking about. It doesn't affect my stories about being out in the world or my stories about interacting with trans women. And so it doesn't have any impact on and this is the thing that we're going to talk about in the next episode. We're going to talk about with regard to your personal topic. You can get to a place where you can look at negative things or what would be interpreted as negative and not have that affect the reality that you're creating. And that's a really important skill to develop, but it's an advanced skill. And I'm not always successful doing it.
And that's what it is. It's that advanced skill that a lot of us are still working towards, especially if we're doing the process and everything, but just because I know it's not a reality in my reality doesn't mean I don't know it's not a reality somewhere else.
Right. And so the question then is,
and it's like the difference of watching American news and watching like European news, where they're going to show you way more than what our media is going to show you,
especially about America. Yeah.
Right.
And so the question in that point is, does it help the community if you agree with with the foundation of our organization, the Transamorous Network? If you agree with that, does your attention to those things help the community or hinder the community?
Well, I'm focusing my attention on it right now, and I'm hoping that it helps the community. I personally wouldn't have known at all. Thereby, it wouldn't be part of my reality.
Correct.
At all.
Right. Right. And we talked several episodes ago, we talked about both of your personal experience and whether or not you both have been subjected to any sort of physical abuse in your recent past. Mm-hmm. And both of you said no.
No, nothing recently.
And we asked, and I think we even talked about whether or not you felt personally at risk walking down the streets of Portland.
No, never.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think you agreed that it was, for the most part, you had some concern,
right.
but you're confident.
It's just for me. There are safety issues because my reality is that it's out there, mm-hmm. but I know it's not going to happen to me. It's like that's my reality. And so I don't know. Maybe that's a contradiction based on the beliefs and everything that we're talking about. But
you are where you are, right?
Right. I am where I am, and that part of me still says, I recognize that it's a reality somewhere. You know what I mean? And I guess there's still putting that potential that it could happen to me, right? But I also realize I also know that it's not going to happen to me.
Right.
I'm not the one.
Yeah, and just for clarifications for our listeners and viewers, this is not that, it's always somebody else's ignorance that most people walk around with in this life, like, I'll never get in a car crash. It's always somebody else until it's you, right? It's not the same thing. We are literally creating our reality by how we think and what we believe. So it's a very different thing. I want you to understand that this is very much coming from a place of power.
Yeah, you're not putting your head in the sand
exactly,
and ignoring.
Not blissful ignorance.
Correct.
Please understand that. And I absolutely 100% believe that. And when I walk down the street and I walk into, let's say I walk under the bridge, and there's a whole bunch of people down there, and I know that several of them are on or coming off of heroin. And so most people look at that situation and, wow, they go, that's really dangerous. Let's go up the street. I won't. I'll walk right through that because I know they're not going to bother me.
Yeah.
It's just the reality is I've already been down that street. They've already not bothered me. Now I'm just living that thing that has already happened, and I'm always right. I'm always
because
right.
it's never happened. Nothing negative has happened to you when you've done that, and that's how it works.
I can do the same thing.
Now, with regard to the community at large, our community, if I may allow myself to be in this community, I'll say yes, I do.
You get a day pass.
Thank you. I will put it in my scrapbook. So if there are people who have stories that put them in situations that do confirm the story. So there are people out there who are going to be sexually assaulted or
my friend was telling me about a trans friend of hers that everywhere she's been, like anytime she travels, anywhere she's goes, she's had some serious physical assault. Like she gets her ass beat, like to the point of needing to be hospitalized and stuff. And it's happened like 5 different times in 5 different cities and states.
Okay, so what I'm about to say is really going to offend a lot of people, but I want you to know that it doesn't come from a place of ill will or anything like that. When we hear about kids that have been assaulted in one way or another, and typically I'm talking about being molested by different people, it's as if the molesters know that they're a good victim. It's like they can smell them out. And you have to ask yourself, who is owning that? Now, I'm not,
Yes,
that's a really
it's
hard.
really hard.
Yeah.
But the same thing applies here. It's like it, and it's so it's back to what I was saying. If the community at large, you want to know how to solve this problem of trans women getting their asses beat or sexually assaulted. The way you solve the problem is to get every trans person to live their life in a way that they recognize they create their reality and live from a place of confidence and security, and nothing's going to happen to me. And then nothing.
If everyone lived that way, we would not have issues in this world.
Well, correct. And
the way we
we're
do.
not, and we are all free to do and believe and say what we're going to do, believe, and say. And it's all a glorious process of becoming, where none of us are in the same place. And so in the process of everyone becoming, there is certainly the freedom for Sunny, for example, to run this video. I'm not saying she has to not run the video. I'm just giving my opinion.
Of course.
And my opinion is if eventually, well, let me say it this way. If you're a trans person and you want to live a life of joy, you want to live a life of all your desires being fulfilled, you want to have that great job, you want to have that fantastic relationship. If you want all those things, focusing on all the negative shit that's happening in the trans community is not going to get you there.
Right. If that's where if you are one of those people who continuously focuses on that. And like, you know what I mean? Like if you're continuously putting up your posts about how you've just had another horrible date or how, and it's again, like the story in the book talks about, that one girl who on YouTube who has gone on this date and
the trans woman guy.
Right.
Yeah,
the trans woman guy.
one.
And how she tells this really great story about this great guy, but still is telling herself a different story about this guy.
Yeah. So
it's interesting because she tells us one story, but she tells herself a different story.
Yes. It's so just to recap that. So in the Trans Woman's Guide to Finding Your Ideal Partner, we, as one of the exercises, you're asked to go watch this YouTube video. And in this YouTube video, there's a woman, I think her name is Samantha. She tells this story about how she met this guy, and this guy, by all measures of how she describes it, through like 99% of the story, this guy's a fabulous catch. I would imagine any trans woman who had the experience this person had with this guy would think that this person was freaking fantastic. But in the last 1% of her story, she talks about how this person
dissed
her. But he didn't diss her.
No, he didn't. What
he did was he was vulnerable. He expressed some vulnerability about his preferences, and she took that as a diss.
As a personal diss.
And couched the entire story on the video in that manner.
Yeah.
While ignoring all the positive shit that this guy displayed. And all of it was mostly positive. All of it was positive.
Yeah. She was telling us one story, but she told herself a second story, a different story about what she personally had just experienced.
Yes. Yes.
And in my view, I would be like, that was a great experience. Mm-hmm. Wow, what an awesome guy. Obviously not the one for me, but
right.
He still treated me like a lady. He
exactly.
still was a gentleman. He was still concerned. He was still,
And so in the context of this video, and I'm not saying that all trans women are watching videos like this, blogging about it, responding to comments, talking with their friends about it and stuff, but to the degree that these videos or these stories, trans women, make you feel uncomfortable, unsafe, afraid, not enjoy, not living your dreams, that focus is not serving you. It's not serving you, and it's not serving the community.
So what I'm hearing, and this is kind of swaying me, which I hate, but so you're saying by bringing this into people's awareness, they then focus their energy and their thoughts on it, and by doing so, they then begin to create their reality.
If when they focus on it, it makes them feel these negative ways that we're describing: lack of joy, fear, disempowerment, suspicion.
It's going to happen to me.
Yeah, it's going to happen to me. I need to be guarded because the world is unsafe. That kind of thing. Then yes, they create that reality.
Yeah, see, that's for our listeners. We're doing like a little puppet dance here. It was kind of funny. So what my thought was before it train wrecked by the puppet dance, was that's not at all how I felt when I was watching this. I felt very obligated and empowered to take action in a positive way. For instance, somebody's got to teach, these people how to find their power. So I thought about it in a totally different way. Not that, this could happen to you or this could happen to me. My thought was, let's teach you how to make this not your reality. And so.
And I think that's her goal, but she maybe doesn't recognize that that's the goal.
Yeah, it's kind of like how
she wants it to be a tool to help and empower so that it doesn't repeat itself.
And this is kind of the glorious aspect of the universe, is that it does provoke these types of responses, like the suicide of Aaron provoked the response from Jessica in our episode previous to this one, I think, to become this person who's really phenomenal. So you're right, Shannon. There are some people out there, and I'm not saying all trans women take create these disempowering interpretations from these experiences. The question
but many might,
and many,
and I would agree.
Will.
And some
I would agree
some
completely.
are. Let's say it that way.
Yeah, far too many people in general, not just trans people, but people take that victim's mentality, and that is one of the least powerful places you can ever go. So I don't like facilitating that in any way.
And it's definitely the least powerful place you can go if your intention is to help your fellow man or trans woman. The most empowering place, in my opinion, that you can be as a trans woman is in a mind frame where you recognize that everything you think, say, and do creates your reality. And because you know that, you're thinking, saying, and doing only things that make you feel joy, excitement, enthusiasm, passion, eager expectation that things are going to work out for you no matter what. And when you have that life view, your life mirrors that, as you guys can attest.
Absolutely. Amen. I can totally attest.
Preach.
Yeah.
Preach!
It's true.
Shema.
It's true.
So really my position is, I don't care what Sunny does with the video. She can post it or not. What I'm more concerned about is what the viewers of that video are going to conclude based on that, and whether or not their conclusions are going to put them in an emotional frame of feeling lack of joy, lack of freedom, fear, concern that the world out there, if they go out into that world, is a scary place to be. It's not.
And I think that's the thoughts and the emotions it's going to elicit in most viewers, sadly.
Exactly. And that is why I suggest that she shouldn't do it. Now, I don't care if she does or not, but that's why I say she shouldn't do it, because it's not serving the community.
But she's still going to have the conversation about it. So, the attention still gets brought to the topic,
right?
Whether or not you see the video or not.
Exactly.
Like we are
But if
now.
the video is violent, then it will bring a whole new level of fear to it.
True.
It does.
Situation.
It does.
But it could bring a whole new level of education.
Could it? I mean, how what
I mean,
what is
it
the
could
education?
it could give someone some more, to see someone else disempowered might give them some empowerment. Like, I know that's not going to happen to me.
Oh, there you go.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
I get that.
Like, if I were to watch, I'd be like, that's fucked up. I can't believe that happened, but I know that will never happen to me.
But is that how you learn that skill?
I don't know.
And actually, it's interesting because
don't know.
you can, in saying something like that, you could be, it's really difficult. You could be focusing on, when you're saying that shit's never going to happen to me, you actually could be saying, bring that shit on to me in the way that you're saying it, because your emotion is a reaction to what you saw. And so you're focusing on what you saw when you say the opposite of what you saw. You get what I'm saying?
I do, and it's part of that tricky part of the whole process of writing the stories and getting the wordage correct. But
so the response you could have to that is, I'm so glad that my life always works out. I'm so glad that I can walk down the street and know that the world's got my back. I'm so glad that I know that when I walk down the street, people are going to whistle. They're not going to jeer. I know, those kind of statements.
just like it did. We walked out for lunch just before this show. Okay,
No.
Shannon and I left the building, and this guy was sitting on the edge of the building. And he's on the phone, and we walk by. What did he say? Holy shit, or
something like that. I think
and he goes, "Hold on," and he's like, "Tell us whoever he's talking to hold on," because he's like,
he took the phone away from his ear. And I think he said, God damn, it's
God
on.
damn. Something like that. Yeah, absolutely. It was hilarious.
Yeah, when
We just kind of
both-
giggled to each other and
yeah.
just kept walking. You know, it was funny.
That's what I
Yeah.
take that as an immediate manifestation of the things that we've been putting out as a result
Absolutely.
of being in here this
Yes.
morning.
Yeah, but that's Remy's and I. That's our reality.
Yes.
That we created.
Yes.
And it's-
Absolutely.
It's every day. I mean, Remy was just
Yes.
telling a story earlier about how the guy in the car he's happening again and again, and it's a different guy, coming and approaching her, and I don't know the whole story, Remy, but tell it really quickly too.
Well, again, it's just been like, so I'm writing the story about myself, and again about my ideal partners is part of all of that as well, because that is something I want to accomplish, and bring into my life. And the more I start to fine tune my story and fine tune the story, and start truly believing that I am creating my reality. And when I step outside of my house and when I wake up in the morning, that it's such a great day and who knows what can happen and who I might meet today and, all those ideas. And men in traffic as I'm walking are like, hey, ooh, hey.
Let me go around the block.
And then, then they're like going around the block. And this one the other day, he drove 5 blocks because I guess he had turned the first corner and realized he had missed me. So he had to turn the corner. Yeah. So he had to turn the corner and go up several more blocks so he could come back down and run into me. And that's exactly what he did. Is he had flipped all around the corner and he'd run right into me. And some of just his physical situation, the car and how he looked and how he was dressed and all that kind of stuff fit exactly into some of the part of the story that I was just writing and rewriting and tweaking. So I find it just, again, it was just his initial driving by and turning his head and slowing down. That was enough for me to know that it's working. And that's all I needed.
Right.
But the universe took it and he took it a step further by actually following or finding, coming back around and stopping and asking my phone number and asking my name and yeah. So
it's interesting that
turns out he's in a relationship, but
that's okay.
he's not the right one.
Well,
for me.
Exactly. And it's this is not unusual. Everyone can have the experience you're having. Every trans woman can have the experience.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter where you are in the transitional stage you're at. But the manifestation may look different because you're not Remy. But you could have the same kind of things happening. And Christiella, she was saying, when we first reached out, Christiella is one of our former guests, and when I first reached out to her pushback on our philosophy was, you just want us to think of rainbows and butterflies and things are going to work out okay. And the reality is, yes, that is what's going to happen. And so
I've seen her since, and she has a few more butterflies and a few more rainbows in her life, I believe. Thumbs up, girl. It's great to see you with a better energy.
Right. And so
it's awesome.
So every person in the trans community can have this experience because the universe is infinitely abundant. There is no limitation to what it can
the
provide.
Multiverse.
Yes, thank
has
you.
It all.
It
the
has
multiverse.
it all. And so why focus if you know, well, you don't know. I'll tell you. If you focus on the things that you don't want in your life, you're inviting those things into your life.
And if you don't know, now you know.
And if you don't know, now you know. And so it doesn't make sense. It does make sense to me that trans people are focusing so much on the violence that happens in the community because they don't know any better. But you two are perfect examples of what can happen when you learn what's really going on and then live your life from that place. You don't have to focus on those things anymore.
Right.
And so the solution, let's look at the war on drugs, for example. I was going to say, when you push against something, that thing just gets bigger. The war on drugs has been fought for 20 or more years. We've thrown all kinds of money. We've thrown all kinds of tactics at it. We've thrown even recessions at the damn thing, and it has not solved the problem. I think the same thing is true with violence on trans people. The more you focus, the more we focus on those issues, the bigger those issues are going to get. The minute people start choosing to live their own, I want to say, it's none of your business as an individual human being what's happening to another human being's life. I know there's compassion out. You want to have compassion. You want to care for other people. You want to help other people, and that's great. But putting yourself in a negative emotional place is not the place where you're going to help that other person out.
Absolutely.
You're going to help that other person out by doing what Remy's doing, living her life as her life, creating this amazing life and being the proof that other people can model their life from, not sitting in the context of violence on trans women and telling other trans women about how bad it is. That's not going to change the situation. I'm getting all hot and bothered.
No, you've got a really
preach
solid
on it.
point.
You've got
And
yeah, absolutely.
And so,
I think that I'm on board with this not showing it. And if everybody or more people out there understood their power and how to create their own reality, then I would make the other argument still. I would make the argument that, yeah, let's show it because this is going to empower us a lot.
yes, and that's the key to freedom, to ultimate freedom. So we're not saying that you don't focus on these things. You don't focus on anything negative for the rest of your life. What you do is you don't focus on the negative stuff for a while until you strengthen your focus well enough that things are consistently happening in accordance with what you want in the world. And then when your focus is strong enough and you have enough momentum behind what you've been doing, then you can look at those negative things and not be affected by them. And when that happens, you do have ultimate freedom.
It's so hard to do sometimes.
No,
It takes practice.
It takes
and
a
it's
lot
not a
of
light
practice.
switch. It's
Absolutely.
not a light switch.
It's like building up a running endurance. You don't go out there and run your marathon the first time. You go out there and you run 6 blocks.
Yes.
And the next day you run maybe a mile. And
Yes.
Then, and you
How
get
about 2
that
blocks?
momentum going. How about 2 blocks? You get that momentum going, which we're always talking about. And once you have the momentum, then you really are in a place of power. But slipping when you don't have the momentum or putting yourself into situations that you're really not ready to be in can be, what's the word? Dangerous, I guess.
Yeah, it can be it can also disempower your early efforts to do what we're saying.
And it can stagnate your momentum
Yes.
and even reverse the
And
momentum.
then reverse
So
it.
it's important to keep whatever momentum you have going until you have amassed a giant amount of momentum, and then you can take those hits.
Yeah.
And
And
it
when
doesn't
those-
even phase you.
Well, and the thing is too is when those little negative things do come in that you start to tell yourself that potentially could revert your or stump the process of the new momentum is learning to look at it different, see it with more joy, and to turn around those negative emotions, feel it for that second, but then reevaluate it and go, okay, you know what? Okay, so I'm just gonna say my issue I'm dealing with.
Go for it.
So walking next to this bitch, okay, gave me and getting whistled at gave me a moment of shit. I need to lose weight. I need to, you know what I mean? And that's just they creeped in a little bit, right? But I'm like, you know what? That bitch is that bitch, and I am me, and I'm still sexy, and people are still stopping. People still do whistle at me. You know what I mean? And so it's catching that moment of being like, you know what, bitch, they like them thick, whatever, and just going. You know what I mean?
But you're rocking you so well, and that's all that really matters.
Thank you. I think I rock me too.
Yeah, it doesn't. There is all shapes and all sizes, and here's the thing that makes what I think makes a person attractive: confidence.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Yeah.
Like if you are a 400-pound male and you love you as a 400-pound male and you rock you, then everybody else is going to be like, damn, this one badass,
Yep.
So it's all about what you believe in yourself and the story you tell.
Well, and I think,
yourself.
I think that's absolutely true. I believe that a lot of what's catching these gentlemen is the confidence, is the
Yes.
glow, is the epiphany of realizing that just being me is all I have to do, and it brings joy to other people.
Now, I want to bring us back to what you said, because I don't want the listeners and the viewers to miss the point of your story, because it's really important. So you did some really great work. You had an experience that maybe in the not too distant past would have disempowered you.
Right.
And you caught it, and then you flipped it. And as a result of flipping it, you came out better than you were when you went into it. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
And that's the process. And, you've asked before, well, how do you catch it when it's all falling down and it's not working out the way you wanted it to work? And the easiest answer is you catch it before that falling down starts. You just stay in a positive place.
Well, that's the goal.
Yeah. And if you can't, then you do exactly what you did. You catch it when you can catch it. And
Because that's what needs to happen first. And then you catch it sooner and you catch it sooner and you catch it sooner to the point when you catch it before it happens. And then it just
Exactly.
doesn't happen.
yes.
And I can't wait for that to happen.
Well, it's happening in some places.
Yeah,
It's happening in
absolutely.
some
It's
places.
absolutely happening. And it's not that it's not happening.
Yeah.
And it's not even happening fast. It's
Yeah.
it's happening at the pace that I need it to happen. And I
Yes.
recognize that, you
Yes.
know. But again, yeah, it's just getting the story right. You know.
And here's something, I'm going to take this to another advanced level, your story.
Another level.
So the last week when we were doing the show, you talked about, may I? Okay. You talked about having a procedure where you were going to move some of.
So I have not considered surgeries as part of my transition until recently, and I'm considering some fat transfer body sculpting procedures.
And it's interesting that we had that conversation last week, and then this week you had this wonderful opportunity to refine and clarify what it is you're wanting.
Well, yeah, and it's again, I was like, I'm gonna be just sexier,
And
when
you
I, know,
will.
and
Exactly.
and it's gonna happen. And
exactly.
I need some money.
No, the money is.
If the money's coming,
the
it's gonna
money is-
happen. And that's the thing is, I'm not worried. And I mean, I told you today, like, so I just started this job not month and a half,
Yeah,
2 months
this
ago.
is good for the
And
listeners to hear.
I got approached by my manager the other day, and she was like, so me and one of the other managers have been talking, and we were wondering if you'd be interested in this like position. And it's essentially like a fashion, or not, it's not in the fashion department, but it's a merchandising position, and it would be in the home goods department. And I have an interior design degree, so it would actually be using the concepts of my design degree, and my focus would be to come in and focus on that area and make it shoppable and do, you know, really nice end caps and make it look good and make it, you know, easy to deal with.
And what is your job right now?
Just a sales clerk.
Right.
So this would actually be like a title. It would be
And how long have you been there?
maybe 2 months.
Right. So in 2 months, let's say in 3 months, you got a new job. You were excited about having that job. And then in that job, in a month later or 2 months later, you got a promotion, basically.
It's about to.
Right.
I told her I would be interested, and she
Got
said that she had to talk to the other manager and work
Yeah.
out the details. But
This bitch is bad. This bitch is bad.
Even if it doesn't work out, just
Oh,
you know, I already know that they've seen me. They've seen what I can do, and like just in the little things that I've done, like they'll send me back to just clean and straighten up at the end of the night or whatever. And what I end up doing, they're like, "Holy shit, bitch, go in," you know,
And even the language that you just used is really crucial. You said, even if it doesn't work out, which is acknowledging that the story is still unfolding. and
Absolutely.
it's unfolding in your favor,
well,
even
and,
if this
you know,
one thing
And
doesn't
Perry
happen.
goes, "They better not steal you from us." I said, "Wait a minute. The plan is you're going to steal me from them."
Exactly.
This is my in-between thing, and it's a stepping stone for me, and I know exactly what it is, but I'm going to do it the best I can and enjoy every moment of it. And in that process, I've already potentially have a promotion and a title, and who knows where that could go. It's funny because when I got this job, or I applied for this job, I was telling my mom about it, and then she goes, "I feel like managers in your future." My mom's where I get a lot of my intuitive gift. So I'm like, okay, it's not my plan, but if it goes there, I'll rock it until it's time to go.
Right on. And here's something else. So some other things have shown up in your life that I'll get to in a second, but there's one thing I want to say to our audience is these two women are not special. I mean, you are special because
I'm
of who
special.
you are.
Well, I
not- you're-
never.
My point is that, I mean, Remy is a beautiful person. She's confident, obviously. She's got it going on in her world. Shannon, same thing, is gorgeous. She's got it going on in her world. She's got this great government job. But these people are no different than you are.
Right.
In terms of what they
Right.
are producing and what you can produce.
Right.
It is, there's nothing that they're doing anything, they're not doing anything special. Well, they are in the sense that they're using what we talk about in the guides, but you can use them and you can use the guides too and produce the exact same result.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just putting into practice the things that are talked about in the guides and on the network and what we talk about here. It seems hard, but it's not once
Yeah.
you get started.
So let me flip this a little bit and talk to the Transamorous men too, because this is really important for them too.
Absolutely.
So we've got these men out there that are like, yes, exactly. Come on out, you guys.
Come on, Cletus.
Like Micah, who we're going to talk to in a few weeks on the show, and like Steve, who this this past week commented how much he enjoys watching our show. These guys are out there. They're looking for women like you guys, people who are successful, who are well-adjusted, who are excited to meet men. I know you're pansexual, but they're excited to meet their match in the trans community. And perhaps they like that guy we talked to who didn't get on the show. Perhaps they're approaching it in the wrong way because their stories about trans women is fucked up, or perhaps they're approaching it the wrong way because their stories about themselves are fucked up, or perhaps
his story was so fucked up.
So fucked up.
But anyway,
yeah, or perhaps they have had experiences in the past that are coloring the stories that they're using to create their future, and they're just reaffirming the past with their stories about the past, and that's creating their future. And I'm speaking to the men now to say that these women in front of me who are talking about what they're talking about are no different than you. And so you can indeed, it doesn't matter what you look like Shannon was talking about that 400-pound guy. There actually is a guy, I don't know if he was 400 pounds, but Siskel and Ebert. It was either Siskel or Ebert. I can't remember which one, but the fatter guy.
Yeah, you talked about that.
He was like 200 or 300 pounds when he met, and he's a white guy. He met his African-American wife before she was his wife. He met her, and she said what put her over the top for this guy was he was so confident and sure in himself. And so it doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter what job you have. It doesn't matter if you have a car or not, or if you have any money. You can meet the trans person that you desire if you recast your stories. If you do what's in the man's guide, you will absolutely find that person. And so that brings us full circle back to this video. So what do you think?
Knowing what I know about most people, I wouldn't show the video. After our discussion.
After
our discussion.
I have to agree.
And that is only because I believe most people don't have the power we have yet. And
Right.
as soon as they do, then my opinion and my choice would be to go back to showing the video. Because when I saw, I didn't see the video of the act happening, but just the YouTube video of discussing whether to show it or not, I felt very empowered watching it.
Right. But you're in a totally different space than most people, right?
Yeah. And I guess I did that. I made that mistake that oftentimes we make, is going, everybody else is just like me.
I do that too.
And
I
that's
do that a
something
lot.
I need to stop doing.
Yeah.
I've been doing it my whole life, and
Nobody's like me. And I am so good with that.
so I gotta say that after our discussion, I'd say there's not value in it. In fact, there's probably negative value in it.
Yeah, there's negative value, I think.
Thank you, Perry.
Oh, don't thank me. Thank you guys.
No, I mean,
It's a
you started this.
co-creation.
No, I mean this
This
was
is
the discussion, and
This
that's
is
why
a
we have these
discussion that we
discussions.
weren't even sure. Shannon and I were like, well, what the fuck are we having this talk for if you don't want to talk about it? But now I get it. And we hope you do too.
We do. Yeah.
And Sonny, we hope that whatever decision you make,
It comes from a place of power.
Yeah,
know
it
that
comes
we
from a
come
place
from
of
a place of power and we support you.
Absolutely, 100%. And with that, let's end the show with our call to action.
All right.
So you Transamorous men out there, step it up, bro. You can do it. You will help the community in a major way. You'll help yourself. You'll achieve all the goals that you want. You will achieve if you step it up. So come out and own who you are, man.
Be proud.
Be
Own
proud. Yeah, there's no reason not to.
No proud woman wants an unproud man.
Exactly.
Ooh.
Just saying.
Yes.
That maybe we should add that. No proud woman wants an unproud man.
Yeah, you want a strong, confident, successful, self-assured trans woman? Then be a strong, confident, successful, self-assured man.
High five on that shit. With that, we'll end the show. Thank you so much for watching.
Bye, guys.